In this video, I'm going to be testing the two most interesting features of the InkBird IHT-1S. Hi, my name's Ben, and at Smoking Hot Confessions, we love barbecue. So if you love barbecue too, consider liking the video, sharing it with a friend, and subscribing to the channel. One essential tool for barbecue is a good instant read thermometer. You want something that's accurate, you want it quick, and you want it to be hardy. Not only are they great for measuring the internal temperature of the meat so you know where you're sitting in terms of doneness, it also lets you feel the resistance of the probe against the meat, which is going to let you know how soft and juicy that meat is. Now, with so many options out there on the market and a huge price range, it can be really tricky trying to find one that's fast, accurate, and hardy. Now, InkBird have come to the party with their IHT-1S, and they're billing this as a waterproof instant read thermometer. Now, the InkBird IHT-1S has many features. Check out the website. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but I've picked the two that I think are the most interesting. The first one is the claimed 2 to 3 second read time. That is super fast and really important, particularly if you're working in a catering or commercial environment. The second feature that I find really interesting is the IP67 rating. That means it's supposed to be dustproof and waterproof. And those two things, that's what we're going to test today. Now, a quick disclaimer, InkBird did send me this at no cost to me. However, they have no control over what I say or what I'm about to do to this thermometer. Now, our first test for the InkBird Instant Read today is in two parts. The first part is going to be the classic boiling water test, and we're going to follow that up with the iced water test. So I've pulled my grungy old kettle out. I'm going to set it to boil, and then I'm going to put the probe in the water, and that should, in 2 to 3 seconds, read at 100 degrees. So now it's time for the ice water test, and we're just going to take one of our Smoking Hot Confessions tumblers, fill it up with ice and water, give that a couple of minutes for that temperature to really drop right down, and then we're going to run the test again. Well, the results for test 1 are in, and that is a smashing success for the InkBird. In both cases, the boiling water and the icy cold water, it read really quickly and super accurately. So let's go do test 2. Now, the second thing we're going to be testing is the IP67 rating, and that's to do with the dust proofing and the waterproofing of the unit. The 6 is the rating for the dust, and the 7 is the rating for the water. Quoting from the official documentation, the 6 means complete protection against dust over an extended period of time. So that's going to be the first part of test 2. The same official documentation says that a 7 for water means it's protected against short periods of immersion in water while under pressure in depths of 15 centimeters to a meter. Now, living just a few blocks off the water on the Gold Coast, I've had to come up with my own dust test. Check this out. Ha! No, don't you dare. Alright, the thermometer's been sitting in the kitty litter for about 10 minutes now. I've given it a good shake, it's got all nice and dusty in there, so it's time to go panning for gold. Oof, my goodness. Oof, dusty. Now that's pretty filthy, but the big test is it still going to work covered in all this dust? Whoop, that looks like a yes to me. There you go, it's had 10 minutes in the kitty litter being shaken around. You can see how dusty it is, and it's come straight back on, no dramas. So now we're ready for part 2 of the IP67 test. Now the 7 is to do with the waterproofing, which means this should be good under pressure of 15 centimeters to 100 centimeters for a short period of time. So this is going in there. The InkBird's been floating around in this bucket of water here for about 3 minutes or so. So I'm going to pull it out, cross my fingers, and let's find out if this rating is as good as it sounds. This should turn on. Ha ha ha. Look at that. Beautiful. Alright, so now let's consider the pros of the InkBird IHT-1S. First of all, we need to consider the results of our testing today. First up, we did the boiling water and then the ice water tests to see if that 2 to 3 second claim was true. And in fact, it was. It was probably faster than 2 to 3 seconds, to be honest. Particularly in the boiling water, I found that it really came up quite fast. And the only reason it didn't settle at 100 is probably because I had the lid open on the kettle, so the kettle couldn't quite hit 100 anyway. The ice water was much the same, really quick to get there and deadly accurate. Next up was the kitty litter test, the dust rating. Man, I shook that thing around. There were clouds of dust coming up everywhere. I let that sit in there for probably about 5 minutes and it was bang on. It was so good. There's been no problems with it since. And after that, we did the water test. I dropped it in a 5-litre bucket of water, let it sit there for 3 minutes, pulled it out, and it was perfectly functional. So I think that's a resounding yes to all of those factors. Now, the next thing to consider is the affordability of this instant read thermometer. The InkBird IHT-1S comes in at about $40 depending on where you're looking. So if that's not affordable, I don't know what is. That's a great price, easily attainable for most people out there. The next thing to consider is the build quality of this. Now, the industry standard is of course the Thermopen, and just the touch and feel of this, it really does feel like they've benchmarked the Thermopen and done their best to get there. And I gotta say, it's really close. I've got a Thermopen, I love it, and I gotta say this is right up there in terms of the feel of it in my hand and the judgment thereby of the build quality. Now, of course, I haven't been using this for 12-18 months, so I can't comment on the long-term life of it, but so far, so good. The last thing I want to talk about is the rotating display. Now, it doesn't matter if you're left-handed, right-handed, if you're trying to get the temperature from the top, if you're trying to get the temperature from the bottom, because this thermometer has a rotating display. So as I turn it upside down, the display comes with it. So that means you're going to have more readability, more usability, and less headaches during your cook. And now the cons. To be honest, it's hard to pick faults with this one. If I had to express any worries about anything, it would just be that generally you get what you pay for, and at around a $40 price tag, while I love the build quality, as I said before, I can't comment yet on its long-term viability. So if you've got one of these, if you've had them for a while, reach out to me and let me know, because I'd love an update. The only other thing to pick on would be the styling. I mean, the shape up this end, it's a little, shall we say, familiar to about half the population in the world, maybe more, but if you can live with it, you'll be fine. So the last big question for the day then is, would I buy the InkBird IHT-1S? We've just weighed up the pros and cons. We've just put it through a series of pretty rugged tests, really. And I would have to say, for the price, this is hard to beat. Really, really hard to beat. So if I were in the market for a new instant read thermometer, would I consider this? Absolutely. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you've decided you want to grab one of these InkBirds, I've put links in the description of the video. You can go through, check them out. They are affiliate links, so I will receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. And that's all we have for today. So until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing. I'm pretty impressed, really. I can't believe I dumped it in a bucket of water.